right, everybody. Welcome to Arsenal Fan Circle. Welcome to the Sunday Show. Pull up a chair. You're all welcome here. And thank you for being here because talking about defeats, it's not something we want to do. Thankfully, following Arsenal and this last couple of seasons of Arsenal, we don't have to talk about defeats too many times, but it's part of the job requirements. It's part of the I'm contractually obliged to do so at Arsenal Fan Circle and the Sunday Show. We should have Gary joining us a little bit later. Maybe Tony will join, and I think Stan may join as well. But for the interim, you have me, and I will start off with, I'm a little bit disappointed. I think the disappointment we feel is that for the first time in a long time, Arsenal didn't register a goal. Usually our play, the way we formulate the patterns of play and attack teams, we create chances and we create high quality chances. And I think we did that yesterday. We created high quality chances. But the opportunities were presented to a few individuals we'll speak about, but the opportunities were not taken. And I talked about a double pivot on Thursday night, and also the need for a left back. I like Zinchenko, generally speaking, but when we go against top five teams in the league, I think we need to have a little bit more security at the back, have that composure to build up play and possession. And whilst I enjoyed yesterday's game, and congratulations to Aston Villa. At the end of the day, the one stat that really matters in football is the goals scored in the game. It doesn't matter the possession you have, the amount of chances you had, the amount of shots on goal, shots on target. All of that doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is putting the ball in the back of the net. Now, I'm not of a mind to complain about the referees and the FA and the PGMOL. We're seeing it consistently where they are making mistakes left, right, and center. Everything's left open to interpretation now because you have more individuals in the VAR room. You have a referee on the field who is not taking decisions. He's not taking the key decisions in many cases himself. He's just orchestrating what the VAR room is telling him to do. And I go back and forth on whether it's incompetency or corruption. Corruption, both of those words are very strong words that we shouldn't have to use in the best league in the world, where our referees, are they corrupt, or are they incompetent and not able to apply the letter of the rule properly? Too many things are open to interpretation, challenges, and listen, we complained over the years about offside situations and goals where we wanted to get those things right, and VAR was brought in for that reason, to get things right. We've improved goal line technology. That was an issue in previous years where some teams, maybe the teams who were in the bottom 6, 7, 8, were being impacted by incorrect decisions in terms of the ball crossing the line. We've implemented that technology just on the sole basis of if it's a goal or not, and determining that. But VAR was brought in for offside and other issues. And I'm starting to think we need to go back to refine this. You need the referee. I've been talking and calling for this. Have the referee on the field make the decision. So let's talk really quickly about the two incidents, really. The two big ones that we're all concerned about when it comes to the refereeing side of things. And let's talk about those and get them out of the way, Gary. So I'm not going to complain about the FA, the referees. We're just going to talk about the two high-profile incidents with the referee from yesterday's game, because I think a completely separate issue will be our inefficiency in front of goal yesterday. And there's not many times I'm watching Arsenal and they're playing well. That don't create chances, that they don't score goals. Well, that didn't happen yesterday. But for me, Gary, there's two incidents, right? The first one in the beginning of the second half where Douglas Luiz challenges Jesus, and for me, he kicks the ankle of Jesus, and there's also a hooking motion, which sets Gabriel Jesus into an imbalance.
Yes. So hello, Ray. Thanks for having me on. Everybody in the chat, thanks for joining us. Yeah. So as you said, there's a lot to digest. We'll get into, I guess, the other things that are outside of our control as a football team.
Yeah. Clear them up really
Yeah.
quickly, so we're not moaning about it. You know what I mean?
I believe it should be called, right. I think most fans who had a player in the box with the ball in a position where they can get to it, but are kicked like that in that manner, would expect some sort of foul being called and then resulting in a penalty.
Penalty kick, yeah.
So I don't think there's anybody can say anything much about it. I don't know how people can look at that, and you got the commentators also trying to back the officials all the time now, because they see that the fans are on one side, and it's clear as day that he kicks the back of his leg. We know that a slight touch on somebody with their foot in the air and they might fall, they're going to fall over. He has no chance to get to that ball after that kick. Yeah, and we don't know if he gets there or not, but we do know that he did tackle him. And if he gets to that ball, it's just him and the goalkeeper at that point from a really tough angle, but still position where we could potentially score from. So I don't know. Yeah, we said it all the time, right? Going after officials isn't working for us. Letting them do their job isn't working for us. The only thing you can handle is the things you can handle, and we should be doing that much better. But yeah, that one should have been an easy one for me. I don't know who can look at it and go, no, it's nothing. It's just football contact. I don't believe so. I believe anywhere on the pitch that happens, because you get a foul for a high leg even if you don't make contact. So this is actually contact on the back of somebody's leg.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Good afternoon, Alex. Thanks for joining us today. And listen, we'll get a few Alex's comments in here. Our failure to score in the final third was our downfall. Odegaard, Jesus, and Saka were the main culprits, and we definitely agree with that, Alex. And then we want to get these decisions talked about and out of the way. Alex goes on to say, not a penalty for me and not handball. However, there was an elbow on Nketiah, a red card, and I think we can all agree on that. The elbow on Eddie Nketiah probably would have given us 4 or 5 minutes with an extra man at the end of the game, and who knows what would have happened at that time. And
what
then
was
finally,
what was that not a penalty? Which was not I don't know.
The one, the David Luiz on Gabriel Jesus for Alex, he's saying not a penalty for him. I mean, there's people who will accept a certain level of physicality in the penalty box, but you have to ask yourself if it would have happened in the other box, if you would have felt aggrieved.
I have no doubt most of our fans will say that would go the other way if it was us. So
yeah,
if that's the case, then you're saying that there's a legitimate foul.
I think the majority of people would say that it was a penalty. So there, not a handball on toward the end of the game in 90 minutes. I've seen some more replays about this. So the ball hits Cash's elbow, and that is permitted, and that is legal now within the rules of the game. If it's an accidental handball by the defender, if it's a handball by the forward or the attacker, it is given as a free out. But I also saw a couple of things where the ball ricochets off his knee, Havertz's knee, and hits his chest right by here, Gary.
I don't think anybody saw it. That the problem isn't whether I think the problem is I believe that they cannot confirm and deny it. So they're not going to change they're not going to change the call by the official, who the official makes a call, which some would say was miraculous from where he was standing. I mean, he's well outside the box at that point. No way he can see all that contact that's going on. And I believe the contact's happening between in the torso area, I believe. So for him to see all that in that split second, I think he's guessing. I don't think he saw it. I think he guessed it, or even if somebody told him, that's not his call then. So that's what we don't want. So he was he looked like he was out of position to me when they show where he was standing when all this happened. And I don't think, if somebody else saw it and said, no, I saw the handball, then that's the communication that we talk about that they need to have. And if, as you say, if that's the rules are, it's off the cash by his elbow, that's okay. But it's a handball off of Havertz, which they did not. I don't think anybody's shown it. I just think they left the call as is. That's what I think happened.
Yeah,
I don't think the official could make that call from that position and be definitive about it.
Welcome, Stan, to the show. Welcome. Thanks for joining us, Stan.
Good morning, Ray. Good morning, Gary. Good morning, everyone in the chat box.
Hello,
All right.
Stan.
We're trying to clear up these key incidents with the referees. So this isn't a show about moaning about the FA and the referees, because clearly we had situations where we should have taken care of our own business at the end of the day,
Yeah, I heard you talking about some of the decisions. I think for me,
Your audio is breaking up, Stan.
Yeah, your signal's coming in a little bit weak, so maybe it's the audio and video. Really said not an ideal weekend, but we only had ourselves to blame last night. The game should have been dead and buried before the hour mark, definitely. It's still a little bit slow, Stan. In my opinion, yesterday I saw Kai Havertz become a certified gunner, and that fills me with some confidence in our squad. Was that the part where he ran into Emi Martinez? Did he? I think he might have endeared himself to some people, Gary.
See, I kind of felt that's the thing with him. He's either nowhere close to playing like we want him to, or he's stepping over the line, or he's tiptoeing on that line.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that's like he's still not confident in what he's doing, because he can't get in a position where he's controlled in that situation, because easily could have gotten maybe a card for some of the stuff he's doing. And I don't like it, because I think like now we get the other extreme to where now it's getting to the realm of maybe he's like going to draw a yellow at some point.
Yeah,
and we don't want that either, right? So I just want him play. So that's kind of my thought on it. Is this I can't get that happy medium where he is just playing football and not necessarily begging for a yellow, it seems sometimes. So
yeah. Stan, you're looking better, and you're probably going to sound better as well.
How's that?
Yeah, sounds good.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, we can hear you.
Yeah. Okay. Good morning.
BX said you sound like a droid, and Canterbury Gunners already said sound like the VAR room audio.
Yeah, that's why they can't get anything done right.
Well, that's a bit of a heavy insult.
Hey, your audio wasn't good, Stan. It isn't. If your audio was perfect, then I would say he's being mean to your audio. He's not being mean to you. He's being mean to your audio.
Reddy said the inconsistent and incompetent officiating is hardly surprised, but we were utterly wasteful in our finishing. That's more concerning. Exactly. I think we have a new face in here, Pat Tate. Hi, guys. Welcome, Pat. And people who use the word corruption don't understand what the word means and what it really implies. Our failure to score in the final third was our downfall. Yeah, Odegaard. Jesus needs to learn to sell the fouls better. If you're constantly going to ground, the refs are not going to fall for it when he holds off 4 defenders. He doesn't get a call, so I don't know. If it was a different set of officials, he would have got a different set of results. I'm quite sure of that.
What's weird is if he does hold off someone, then we say he's strong. But then when he gets to the point where he can't hold on, and it's in what he considers it a foul eventually, then you know what, you need to do better.
Yeah.
You know, it works against him no matter what he does. Either he falls down too much every time they hit him, or he holds up, and then when he eventually does get put to the ground, then we're saying he's falling to the ground too much.
Yep.
At some point, you're going to fall to the ground if you've been holding yourself up long enough. All right. I don't think he wins in either case. The officials just need to make the call that they see and not what they think. You know.
Good evening to Hendon Gunnar. Stan, let's talk about the referees and VAR, and Gary will bring you in as well. Of course, I've been saying for a while now, VAR is making referees lazy. The referees on the field are not officiating the game the way they used to.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard you talking about some of these decisions, and obviously the main one is the Gabriel Jesus penalty shout. And for me, and this is just my opinion, I didn't think it was a penalty. I think it was quite soft. However, PVMOL have told us that that is a penalty because they've given penalties for similar incidents. So they're the one that are setting the standard. So even though I don't think it's a penalty, it should have been given because PGMOL say that that is a penalty.
Yeah.
Other people have received penalties for similar offences. So there's no consistency.
By the letter of the law, that is a penalty. Alex said, encouraging to see Harvard show some real fight. Gary, what's your thoughts on it? The referee, I think he said he didn't have a good view of the incident, so he left that to VAR to decide.
If he doesn't have a good view, then he can't make a call. So then, and if they're thinking that that's where the whole clear and obvious error comes in. Is it actually something that he should? Clear and obvious to means that he should have made the right call, and they don't think he did. Right? But if he can't see it, then he can't make the call. So then, for me, VAR shouldn't even be part of the situation because it's not clear and obvious. You know what I mean? Like he can't see someone do something where only a Kangol that zooms in can see it, right? Or it takes 5 minutes to figure it out. That's not clear and obvious. So that's the part where we need to either go back to the rules or change the rules. So is the rule that we correct we make the game perfect, or we just make sure that when an official makes a call and it's incorrect or then we correct it. You know, we're supposed to be correcting things, not actually making the call itself. And the official has to be the one to say, look, yep, I made the wrong call. That's what VAR is, right? I made the wrong call.
Yeah.
And the only person that can change that is the official, because guess what? I didn't see that, right? I saw a handball, but then I look at it again, and guess what? It comes off the defender's hand, so it should go the other way, right? That's what would have happened in that situation. But they said, it went off the defender's elbow, so it doesn't. So that's where, for me, it should be used. But I think they're trying to perfect. They're trying to officiate the game after with a video, and I think that's where they've gone wrong. Even though they say clear and obvious. So is it clear and obvious the way they're implementing it? No, it's not. They're not implementing it correct.
Well, what we've done is we've introduced a few more people into the mix, so they can lead. A certain couple people can lead the conversation, lead the referee on the field to the monitor, and they're actually telling the referee, here, I'm going to cue you up like the most critical angle that I'm telling you that will support what I'm telling you in most cases.
Yeah, and they're not the official, and I think that's the problem. Only one person can make that decision. All you can do is show him the
well,
video.
now we've seen it, but we've seen it in the audio. It's a committee of people that are coming to that decision, and we have podcasts twice a week, and there's certain things we don't all agree on. We don't all agree on certain things about Arsenal. So, objectivity becomes the issue then, I believe. And I would bet if you did a fitness test of all of the officials, their fitness levels would be lower than they were 20 years ago, because the referee, in all instances in the past, the referee would run and jog to be in that correct position to be able to see these incidents and give themselves the best line of sight, be able to see what happens during corners. But now they have this fail safe in their mind of something that, don't worry if you make a mistake, because we will review it. And at that point, they're supposed to clean it up and make it better, but it doesn't happen that way. Even Paddy Power took the piss out of VAR, Havertz handball ref. And some people thought this was real. This was the real exchange. Does Havertz handle it? Yeah, Chris, but Cash handles first. Ref said, I don't care. I asked if Havertz handled it. Every weekend, we spent all weekend talking about VAR decisions and other missed decisions. We hardly did that before VAR happened. We only discussed certain major mistakes now and again. And VAR came in due to offside, principally due to offside controversies.
Yeah, but VAR is basically an official now.
Mm-hmm.
It's like an invisible entity that's refereeing the game. It seems to be getting involved for everything, and then there are instances that you'd like to see it get involved, and they don't even go to it sometimes.
Yeah,
it is for me quite confusing in how it's supposed to be applied at times. And I was listening to Gary Lineker on Match of the Day say that he was initially someone that advocated for VAR, and he holds his hands up now and says that he's wrong. I made him. He says he's done a mistake. It's not helping the game at all.
I think we could take the best parts of VAR in terms of just applying it to the offside by itself, and let the referee the game in all other instances.
But it's already out of the bottle. It's already out of the bottle now. So if you have the referee making calls, and he makes a wrong call, and we can all see that, and he can't, then everyone's going to be calling for VAR. Why don't they go to VAR? Use VAR.
Yeah,
that's what it's there for.
Yeah.
So it's too late because it's already out of the bottle. It's not going to go away. The problem is that the people that are using it, they don't know how to use it. It's like it's like a child driving a big lorry without a driving license. It's not the lorry's fault. It's the ineptitude of the child that's driving the vehicle, right?
And Gary mentioned, maybe refining it, like year on year. This is what they're doing. They are trying to refine certain things in the game. This handball rule has come in this season, I believe. Kicking the ball away has come in as well. Time wasting, on the sidelines, throwing the ball in, that has come in as well. So there's lots of things that have come in. Pat said VAR needs to go, is ruining the enjoyment of football and takes all focus from the normal game. Gary, are you happier with VAR now? I don't think I'm happy with it.
I don't think anybody's happy with the way it's being implemented. That's Stan said, that's the key thing. It's not whether VAR is right or wrong. It's how you use it. I mean, it's like giving all the footballers a deflatable ball and saying, "Look, they go play with it."
Mm-hmm.
Right? Is it the player's fault that the ball's flat and doesn't roll, or is it the fact that they didn't pump up the balls with the right ear? This is what's going on here. So, yeah, they're not following their own rules. So if they're not going to follow their own rules, then why? No wonder everybody's a little bit upset and confused with the situation. If you follow your own rules that you say you're following, then a lot of this stuff wouldn't even happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no reason why they make a call from VAR. That should never ever happen, right? The call can't. The only call that comes from VAR is the ball crossed the line. Sorry, the offsides. Here's the offside. It was offsides or it wasn't. That's really it. They have technology for the ball crossing the line in the goal, right?
Yeah.
So all of those are, as they say, objective.
Taken out of their hands.
There's nothing subjective about it at all. It is or it isn't. They have a set of rules they go through. Done. So those are the two things VAR can do. Outside of that, I think you missed something. Check it out. That's it. That's it. It shouldn't be any explanation as to what they see. You can't tell the referee what they see. That's their job, right? That's their job. And you listen. You listen to the audio, and you've got an official telling them what they see. When in reality, no. Show them the video, let them make a decision, and they can make the decision with their on-field officials, not the guy up in the box, because the only people that would see anything and go, "Yeah, I think that's what you missed there," and that would be the on-field officials, right?
Yeah, we had three major incidents in this game: the penalty decision, the handball from Havertz, and the red card possibly for the elbow on Eddie Nketiah. I don't think the referee on the field went to the monitor for any one of those situations. So yeah,
what I don't understand is that you have these people that are behind the scenes, and it just seems that they're constantly tinkering with stuff. So rather than spending their time fixing VAR and trying to make VAR work for the game, they're now too busy trying to work out how to implement sin bins. I mean, you've not even finished with a VAR yet. You know, you've not finished fixing that, and you're already thinking about something else now that you can, another thing that you can bring into the game, which probably going to cause problems before you even.
Again, that would be subjective. If you had a sin bin, you know, you have individuals deciding the severity of the challenge for a sin bin. Pat said VR is causing controversy, even in other countries. Yeah.
You know, who's going to be watching the clock for sin bins? I mean, there's so many variables with it. I mean, at least fix VAR first before you move on to the next thing. I mean, what's next? You're going to make the football players wear ice skates. I mean, it's just ridiculous of what they're doing. I mean, what happens if a goalkeeper does something that incurs that he has to go into a sin bin? Then what? Do you have to make a substitution of one of your outfield players to bring on the other goalkeeper?
The intention is to be down a man.
Doesn't come back.
The intention is to be down a man.
What if it's a goalkeeper?
5 minutes.
If it's a goalkeeper, you can't just leave the open goal. You would have to, I would imagine, make a substitution from an outfield player to bring in your reserve keeper. And now you've got a keeper in the sin bin that you're not going to bring back into the game.
Then they would switch back out probably for that 5 minutes. Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
It's getting to the point where even Roy Hodgson is looking forward to retirement. He said that in his comments. People are not enjoying their football anymore like we did a few years ago. At least a few years ago, we had disagreements and controversy over offsides, but it was never. You can guarantee now, Gary, you watch one game and you're going to have at least one controversial incident in every game. You know,
and you know, Crystal Palace probably missed out on an opportunity of getting a well-deserved point, if not a win, in that match, right? I mean, like people, you know, the teams lower in the table are like, you don't need to give the top teams in the table advantages. You know, they don't need all the help they can get, right? I mean, so is Roy Hodgson going to get? Is he going to get a little fine and maybe potential suspension?
This is another thing. You're right.
Like, I mean, he's not the first since Arteta is not. You know, he won't be the last that is going to come out and talk about it, right? Because it's just everybody has to deal with it, and they are not fixing their own problem, right? This is where, once again, every team in the Premier League needs to stand up and say, no, this can't happen anymore. And every team in the league will not say anything, because tomorrow might be my day. I get lucky by VAR, which is really, now you're just playing the luck.
It's a huge lottery,
and I think that's
definitely it's a huge lottery, and it seems like Mikel Arteta was honest to a fault, because he was faulted and in the Newcastle game, and it seems like there has been a consistent campaign from the referees to quell the disquiet from Mikel Arteta.
Yeah, all the other teams should be disappointed. Should be really disappointed in the way this is being handled.
Yeah,
because it's going to hurt them, and then they're going to be complaining about it. Like everything that Arsenal goes through, every other team goes through it, because it's Arsenal, and they know that our fans and anything associated with Arsenal on the social network will create clicks and conversations and discussions. They just laugh at it, right? But they're all getting affected by this. Right, they're all getting affected by this, and it hurts them in certain situations, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
we had a situation on Tuesday night at Luton Town where Mikel Arteta is celebrating on the sideline. Maybe he was out of line. Maybe he should have gotten that yellow card, and he served his ban in the stands. But today, in the same stadium, Pep Guardiola is celebrating outside of his own dotted rectangular box, and there's going to be no no sanctions levied against him. He pursues an official all the way off the pitch at halftime, remonstrating, talking to him, and we know what Haaland did last week against Tottenham. So it just seems like certain managers, certain clubs are getting targeted and trying to be kept in line. Get some international officials in the VR room and on the pitch. Past a couple of seasons have shown that they aren't up for the job. Stan, you wanted to jump in?
Here's what I would. Here's the last thing that I would like to say on this subject.
Yes,
because I don't really have much more to say on it.
Yep.
For me personally, with what's happening with this VAR situation and what's been going on in football matches of late, for me, it's cut and dried. It's one of two things: it's either corruption or ineptitude. It's one of those. It's either premeditated and planned. Therefore, it's some sort of a corruption, or they're just morons, which means that they're inept. Whichever one it is, it's not good enough for the Premier League, which is supposed to be the best league in the world. So the governing body should be looking at that and trying to fix it. They should be investigating or changing the operators for people that are competent to actually operate it. It's one of the, or if it's corruption, then you need to get rid of them. It's one of the two.
Definitely. And because we don't, it's so hard to tell the difference between the two that we feel it's either one or the other. And if it is one or the other, it's still really bad, Gary, you know. Yep. But like I said, wanted to not have this as a complaint or an excuse for our own performance, but we did spend over 30 minutes talking about VAR, and as the chat box have said, it feels like we're doing this every week. But Gary, I mean, I have to congratulate Aston Villa at the end of the day. They got the win. We have to move on, forget about this, and be better for the next game. They beat us. They beat us on the scoreboard, right?
Yeah. I'm not saying. You think they played well?
No.
Okay, so then why are you congratulating them?
Well, if you lose a game, you have to be what's the word? You have to be gracious.
I guess so.
Offer your congratulations and move on. You know.
I guess so. Yeah. No. I mean, I've heard from both sides, and it sounds like some fans will just ignore it, and some fans realize that look, Arsenal on another day, it's not even close. So they understand. They saw what we all saw. Arsenal couldn't finish their dinner, and Arsenal couldn't finish their dinner, and then Arsenal couldn't finish their dinner again. So we had opportunities to score 1, 2, 3, maybe even 4 or 5 goals, and we didn't do it. So
when you start tallying them up, Stan, there's quite a few instances where, and I thought our forwards were off. Their passing was off. Martinelli had a bad pass. Jesus had 2 bad passes, but Saka had a bad pass in it. It turned out to be an indicator of the rest of the day for us.
Yeah, we were toothless in attack, but what will probably happen is that in our next game, in the next game, Gabriel Jesus will probably score a really nice goal where he takes it around the keeper or something and just rolls it into the net. Yep. And then everyone will then have amnesia and then start talking about how much he gives for the team and what a great performance it is. And then in the game after that, he won't follow it up with another goal. There'll probably be another 2 or 3 games where he doesn't score. And then the rumblings will start, and we'll be talking again about getting in another striker, and then he'll score another goal, maybe in the 4th game, and then it'll all be forgotten about again. And then the cycle will continue. But yesterday, people should remember yesterday. Yesterday, we were toothless in attack. We do not have a clinical finisher in the team. And I think if we don't have that, it's going to hurt us. And we should be able to bring in a clinical finisher and still be able to retain Gabriel Jesus, because if you see the way that we're playing now, for me, over the last few months, we've been edging even more and more closer to playing with 2 up front. Maybe one slightly behind and slightly deeper, but it's coming. So why can't we bring in a more prolific finisher and have Gabriel Jesus doing all of those other things that help the team and being able to chip in with assists and goals, but not having to be the main man? We'll have somebody else who's more prolific for that. 'Cause I think that's where our formation is going. And you only have to, when you watch Match of the Day and you see the lineup, you see more teams are veering to having two up front and one playing just a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think that's what's on the cards. But we need to sort it out because we cannot continue to rely on the wingers all of the time. Martinelli's only got a couple of goals in the league as well. And at this stage of the season, what is it? Where are we now? What, almost 20 games in?
Yeah, well,
18?
16 in the league. We're 2 games away from halfway.
Well, there you go. It's not been a good
halfway. Yeah.
It's not been a good return from him this season. I don't think it's been a good return from Odegaard. You know, their figures are down from last season, and we don't have anybody in the middle that can cover that up by regularly scoring. It's a problem.
Yeah, and I'm just watching the game and the last chance, not to blame Eddie Nketiah, right? Not to be jumping on Eddie Nketiah, but Arsenal, the stature of a club of Arsenal size, needs a better striker than Eddie Nketiah. He misses that chance, and the TV shot goes straight to Mikel Arteta, and he's already left his seat and left for the dressing room. Probably with the intention, Gary, of going with a checkbook and doing something about a striker in January window.
Yeah. Well, if we need a striker, we need a striker, as I believe Stan is saying, that pushes Jesus down and not Nketiah. And I think, you know, I would be fine pushing Nketiah further down the bench, but if we're looking at what we did with Rice, I think that's what we need, right? I mean, somebody like a Rice that comes in, somebody like a Timber that comes in and basically says, "Look, this is I can start for you now."
Mm-hmm.
And now you've already got the body of work for the players behind them if they want to leave, because they've been starting for you, as opposed to Nketiah, who nobody's picking him up for money that's going to help Arteta and Arsenal, right? But if you pick somebody up better than Jesus, and you have to sell Jesus because you can't keep him, then at least everybody knows what they're going to get when he's healthy. They're going to get a good football player, right? His stats show it. So I get that I get that thinking as well, but I think you can do either one. You just have to be disciplined about it. Yeah, and Nketiah is not the one for us to come off the bench if we need to score a goal. That on a regular occurrence, that's just not a good plan that you can stick with and guarantee that it's going to work most of the time.
And as Stan said, you're relying on Martinelli, you're relying on Bukayo Saka to get you a goal. The wingers, you're maybe relying on Martin Odegaard. And look, these are professional players, and they're going to feel the pressure of needing to take that chance. Martin Odegaard feels it, but they are like human as well. And we saw the human aspects of their finishing yesterday. And Emi Martinez is so annoying. He's like a spider in that box. He's commanding. He comes and gets high balls, and he's a thorn in our side. But Martin Odegaard needs to be taking that chance that in the second half, early in the second half, and he had a chance in the first half as well. Probably two of the clearest chances. Bukayo Saka needs to hold his run and be onside for that goal that was ruled out for offside, and we had the opportunity to break through the lines, but we just didn't have that final pass where we could, get that goal, because we got a goal and we're probably winning the game. At worst, not losing, because we reduced Aston Villa to only a few cursory shots in the second half on the break, But overall, disappointing going forward. Any thoughts on the Odegaard chances, Stan?
You'd like to think you'd like to think that he'd be able to convert one of those, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it was a bad day at the office for everyone, and not the kind of performance that you think to yourself, well, yeah, this is how you win championships.
Yeah,
you got to take your hat off to Aston Villa. I mean, they scored their goal quite early on, and then they probably thought, Emi probably thought, okay, well, we've got a goal. That's what wins your games, and now we can be a little bit more conservative. Now it's up to Arsenal to try and get a response, and we weren't able to. For how long? You know, we had quite a lot of the game ahead of us, and we weren't even able to draw level to put them
We had a
under any
full
more
90
pressure.
minutes. Yeah,
Exactly.
If-
Basically, yeah.
they scored in the
To
6th
try and
minute.
put them under.
They scored in the
Yeah,
6th minute.
there you go.
We had 6 minutes of added time at the end of the game. We had 3 in the first half. So, you know, we had a full 90 minutes to go and get a goal. And our finishing was not on point today, yesterday at all. Early on in the 5th minute, because Saka doesn't get a connection on a tough cross from Martinelli, Gary. You know, that was just before the goal, actually, you know. Saka has a great chance to score. It's technically very difficult, but we know he has this in his locker that he can do it. You know,
you get punished when you don't put your shots away and your opportunities get lost.
Yeah.
Happens all the damn time. Happens to everyone. You see it. You see it a lot with the teams lower in the table. They're playing a big team. They have an opportunity to score and they don't. And then seconds, minutes later, boom, the bigger team scores, and you're like, that's why you have to take advantage of those opportunities, and we don't. Arteta has set up his team such that he's getting goals from everybody out, the wings,
all areas. Yeah.
right, and he's not really. There's no one focus, which is fine. So the fact that we keep having these games where everybody is off is really miraculous in the sense. You're telling me Martinelli cannot put a shot on target. Saka cannot get a shot past the goalkeeper. Odegaard cannot get 2 shots past the goalkeeper. Jesus cannot get shots past the goalkeeper. Right?
Well,
Eddie,
all in the same game, and
I'm gonna just throw this.
Offside.
Yeah, but I'm gonna throw this out at both of you. I feel like we have been playing well. We put 6 past Lons. We scored goals against Burnley. We scored 2 goals against Wolves, and we could have scored more against Wolves. 4 goals against Luton Town. I mean, the big difference in this game is we didn't score. We didn't take any of our chances. We were inept in front of goal. That just for this game, though, toothless just for this game.
If it wasn't like we had 6 shots and the keeper was saving them all, we weren't getting those shots even in the target area.
Yeah.
To cause a problem.
Yeah.
And look at our left side. That's where a lot of our problems were coming, because teams seem to know now you don't need to put up a low block to figure Arsenal out. You just need to target Zinchenko.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you put him under pressure because he's not a defender, he'll run in the wrong directions. He'll start running away from you instead of getting tighter.
And
I think that people now are beginning to kind of like take off their rose-tinted glasses when it comes to Zinchenko. I think people are beginning to understand that in order to give a contribution to your team, it's more than just running around screwing up your face and shouting. There is more to it than just shouting and busting your lungs and screwing your face up. You've actually got to be able to play the game, and understand the tactics. And he doesn't seem to be able to do that. He's all over the place.
Yeah, and look,
except for where he needs to. He's all over the place, except most of the time not where he should be.
Yeah, and it's not like
deficient. We're deficient on that left side for me.
It's like
this inverted thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's costing us.
Well,
it's costing us. It's costing us in the same way that we consistently play out of the back, and it looks great. But there's always those times when we get it wrong and we pass it out, and it ends up on the toes of the opposition. I get that you want to play it out from the back, but you can mix it up. Sometimes you can kick it long, especially if they're expecting you to play it out from the back and they're all coming towards you. Now there's space at the back. Now kick it into the space and catch them off guard. Variety.
And I do think, though, when we play against these top teams, especially away from home, a double pivot is required. And that means we have to sacrifice Havertz or Odegaard for me.
You think we needed that in this game?
Yes.
So you think the missed chances have nothing to do with the reason why we lost as opposed to the double pivot, which
Well,
I believe is a defensive strategy for a team that scored one goal when our left wing got out of position and didn't actually track back.
So I think, Gary, that a double pivot can give you more security, but it doesn't mean that you can't score as well either. You know,
We had more than enough opportunities to get one goal, much less 2, 3, 4, 5. So for me, I don't think the formation was an issue.
did we have less control in this game than you would have liked?
They got 2 shots on target in the first 15 minutes. It wasn't until late in the game when they got their next shot on target. I don't think, if you're looking at it that way, I don't think they were controlling the game. We weren't controlling the game enough in terms of
there was a lot of midfield challenges, and we were getting the better of those midfield challenges.
So everything you're saying is saying
maybe
we don't need a double pivot isn't helping.
Well, we didn't have control. We didn't have control in midfield.
Look,
we were just
once again, did we lose because
double...
our midfield couldn't control the game?
We were transitioning on them because we were stealing the ball.
Did we lose the game because we didn't have a double pivot, or is that just a nice to have?
I believe we did. Look at Declan Rice. If we had a double pivot with Jorginho, Declan Rice would have been in our left midfield area to help stop Bailey and Mc Ginn.
So the one time we screw up, that's it. The game's over. So we give up one goal.
It's a low-scoring game.
Lost, right?
Well, we were goal down and we didn't score.
We don't win if we don't score one goal. We didn't score one goal.
We don't draw if we don't score one goal.
If it was draw 1-1, I would say yes. But we're trying to win the game, right? We weren't going in thinking, let's get a draw.
Although
you have a double pivot for security, you still have 4 players that can go forward.
Although we were misplacing passes in the midfield, we were creating chances. If we had a double pivot and had a more defensive shape, maybe we wouldn't have been creating those chances to score the goals. So I agree with Gary. It was the end of the moves which weren't working. We were being creative, even though we were being sloppy in midfield, a lot of sloppy passing. The chances were there, wasn't efficient enough.
A double pivot doesn't have to be seen as a defensive thing. It can be an attacking thing as well. You know, instead of having, I feel like we didn't win midfield in this game.
We didn't win because we can't score. We put the ball on a plate to most of our players, and they can't get it on target past the goalkeeper. 2, 3, 4, and 5 times in a match. How many more times do you want? At some point, you're going to have to put the ball past the goalkeeper, right? At some point, you're going to have to make that run, stay on side, and make the play. I did see multiple times, and this is something on that. I saw Havertz try to make a run at the back line, probably 3 times in a row, in the same possession, and nobody looked.
Down the left.
Nobody looked, right?
Yeah.
And then, he probably made at least 4 or 5 times in the game total, and nobody looked. And it's like, are you kidding me? Right? No wonder it's easy to defend, because when we do make a run on the back line, we never even see it, much less make the pass, right?
For all of that, Havertz was very incisive and very good yesterday. He created that chance for Odegaard, which was a pullback in the second half. The other part about yesterday that I wanted was I talked about Thursday, bring Kiwior in instead of Zinchenko. And look, I'm not sitting here thinking that I'm wise, but we knew how Bailey was going to play after the Man City game, and we didn't really address it either. You know what I mean?
You know what? We went into this game saying, what can we not have? We can't have. We know we put in Zinchenko. We know what the risk is.
Yeah.
What is the risk when we put in Zinchenko?
It's risk reward.
Yep. So he gave up a goal because of some of his play. He had an opportunity to redeem himself. He didn't even do that, and we didn't score a goal on the other end. So he basically is negative, right, in terms of what he offered, because we didn't get a goal because of his play, and he gave up a goal because of his play. So that's what we go into a game hoping that he doesn't make a mistake that creates a situation where a goal is scored, and he did exactly that in the first 15 minutes as opposed to in the last 15 minutes, right? So it sounds like he's got one in him. every game, right? This is either, I forget who it is. It's either Holding or Chambers. Back in like years ago, anytime they came on, if it was a 1-goal lead, they would make a mistake and a goal would be
But
scored.
he
Whereas if
does
we had a
give us,
2-goal, if we had a 2-goal scored, then we were okay, because even if they scored, they couldn't win on the one shot.
but he
So
does give us a lot going forward.
not
You
enough
know,
to get a goal. Not enough to get a
not in
goal.
this
So
game.
is the risk worth it?
In most, if there was a credit debit ledger, you know, he would be in the positive in terms of what he gives us.
How many
Yeah.
in the last 3 or 4 games? How many times has it been in the positive? Because the last 2, he's been part of the reason why
Well,
the other team scored a goal.
he had an assist in the Wolves game.
You're talking, so 3 games ago. You want to
He
go
scored
back.
against
If you add it
Burnley.
all up, yes, he's been positive.
He
But at
scored
some point,
against Burnley.
is the risk worth it? If 3 out of every 5 times he does well,
I
you take that risk.
here's the way I determine it, Gary. When you're playing the better teams away from home, you cannot take that risk with Zinchenko playing at that left back. Put in a defender, Kivior. What's wrong with playing Kivior as the left back and play him alongside Gabriel Megalegs? Against the better teams away from home, particularly, I would not be playing Zinchenko. We can't go to the Etihad or Anfield. We've seen it at Anfield or Man United, Old Trafford, and play Zinchenko in that left back. If we do, we're going to concede a goal, and we need to score more than 1 goal ourselves. You know, it is a risk reward thing with Zinchenko. He gives us a lot going forward. Tony will say play him in midfield, but that has not happened in Arteta's reign and probably won't happen. If you watch the goal back, and I know we had opportunities to score ourselves, watch the goal back. Declan Rice is central, and we're attacked down our left back area, and Rice gets sucked toward the ball when Gabriel is trying to put a challenge in. If Rice stays in centrally, he has a chance to help screen alongside White to stop that goal, you know. So there again, a single pivot has cost us playing away from home.
Well, so you're not going to blame the left back in that situation.
I've spent 5 minutes blaming Zinchenko.
But it starts there. Everybody else has got to rotate towards that.
A goal conceded is not just on one person. Do you think Ben White?
I'm telling you where it started. It started when our left back got off his man and let him run off of the back of him. And next thing you know, you've got Gabriel who's got to rotate over, right? And then you've got Rice who's got to try to control Mc Ginn in the box, right? And as far as when the goal,
but Rice leaves Mc Ginn.
Yeah, he's running back and he loses him. Yeah,
he leaves.
But you had Zinchenko.
He doesn't lose him.
You had a Zinchenko who's running back, and he has 2 choices. Do I go to the middle of the pitch and go to the middle of the box and maybe clear something out, or do I chase down Bailey? He does neither. So basically, he's standing there doing absolutely nothing with the play happening right in front of him. And you're going to blame all the other guys who were put out of position.
It's a domino effect, Gary.
But he had an answer. Like I said, you can blame it all you want on everybody else. Zinchenko is the reason why it happened, and he had an answer for it, and he didn't even take a chance.
I'm blaming Zinchenko.
Yeah,
but
so you can't blame it. For me, you can't blame anybody else.
You can't just blame any one person, because Zinchenko loses his man. You expect another teammate to help him out, right?
They did.
Okay.
He was on him.
Who was on him?
Able to turn the ball back and pass it. So then that's the part. But guess what happens? If Zinchenko is there, that pass never happens, right? If he runs down like he's supposed to when he makes a mistake and recover, that doesn't happen. He's either there to intercept the ball or the ball gets pushed out of bounds.
It's a team game, Gary.
So he's got to help his teammates out, and he let them down.
No, his teammates have to help him out.
In the same play, he let them down twice.
He
let them down. Defensively on the left he did, and then on the recovery he did.
Stan is just waiting for the handbag fight to stop. LOL.
No, I was ordering some Christmas. I was ordering some Christmas wrapping paper from DoorDash, so I don't have to go and get it.
Listen, it's a team game. If Zinchenko, we know he's not defensively sound. He walks about. He goes walkies in midfield. Gabriel Magalhaes, as we've seen in previous seasons when Zinchenko's alongside him, Mega Legs has to cover up for him. But if you watch that back, Gary and Stan, you'll see Declan Rice in the center of the field, retreat into his box, and then he goes to help Gabriel Magalhaes when he probably doesn't need to do that. He's left Mc Ginn, and now Ben White has had to come across and cover Mc Ginn. And Ben White is not the best defender that we have in our squad.
So we've got two fullbacks that aren't the best defenders, aren't good defenders, right?
Yeah.
So, and then you want to, so it's
we are suffering.
We're killing ourselves with the way
our best fullbacks are Tomiyasu and Timber, and we've only seen Timber for a game and a half, and we can say with some certainty that Jurriën Timber is a better defender than Zinchenko or White at this point in time, So listen, some people saying David Raya should have saved that, but I think that's a little bit tough as well. It's really close, and so we're a goal down after 6 minutes. Yeah, if you look back at it, a double pivot would have helped to quell that problem on the left-hand side as well, for me. Anyway, so that's the handbags are over. What was the next chance then, Gary? Odegaard. Yeah, so we had a series of loose passes in our forward line. My notes are saying a goal down, Villa have not given up leads, so their record is impeccable when they go a goal up. 13-minute, a loose Odegaard and Jesus passes to Saka. Martinelli also. Zinchenko picks up a yellow card. He's on a yellow card after 28 minutes. We start to win loose balls in midfield, and the referee does let play go a lot. And there's a challenge from Havertz that could be deemed quite high. We get away with it, so we have opportunities to spring attacks on them. And we have a collector's item at the end of the first half, Gary, when Saliba mispasses to either David Raya or Gabriel, which is something you don't see William Saliba do at all. Going into the second half, Bailey's injured. Well, we have Diaby coming on, so that's a pretty decent substitute that they're able to bring on in Diaby. And Villa have done a good job under Unai Emery so far. Do you feel they're third in the league now, Gary? But do you feel like they're title contenders?
The way this season,
do they have enough?
Yeah, do they have enough? I don't know.
Do they have enough?
I don't know if they have enough. But I don't. Right now, nobody has enough. Everybody has a hole they need to fill, right? So either it's because of injuries or it's just because they haven't brought those players in yet. So I mean, I think everybody has a chance. I think we'll after we get through this winter period, we'll see where everybody stands, because there'll be some really tough games for the next couple of weeks.
And, we have 4 games.
They will make a difference as to how the table looks.
We'll talk about that toward the end. We have 4 games coming up in the league. I'm sort of overlooking the PSV game, which we'll see. We'll actually touch on that as well, see how we should approach that. But I think we might all agree. Put a very, very much mixed side out there to go to Holland. So we have the hook on Gabriel Jesus for me, VAR check, no penalty. At this point, Arsenal are continually breaking through their lines. We're playing very incisively, Gary, until the final passes come, and you just feel at this point in time it's a matter of time before we do get that equalizer. 55 minutes. I heard you. I heard you and Tony discussing Ben White's crossing, but I'm sort of having issues with his distribution and his crosses when Ben White gets into those areas. I don't know if you were speaking favorably of Ben White's crossing or not. What are your thoughts?
I believe he's more of a defensive fullback for us, right? So for me, he does well in that situation. We're not expecting a lot of offensive skills from him based on the way he's played. So when he does give it, he can give it to us once in a while, which is good to have, but isn't something we depend on.
Invariably, when he gets in those positions, he really doesn't deliver for us.
That's not his job.
Yeah, and it's not something we rely on, especially.
Yeah, so it's not an issue then, right? For me, it's not an issue if he doesn't score.
No, but the cross, you would want some decent distribution into the box. And then we have a fumble from this is kind of the look on the day. A fumble from Mc Martinez onto Watkins, hits the upright, and they get away with it. Yep. So there's some things that happen in games.
They say you create your own luck, and sometimes you just get lucky, right? I mean,
yeah. Or sometimes you see something like that happen, and you know it's not going to be your day. You know what I mean? 57 minute. Here's the opportunity for Odegaard. As Zinchenko pass, Havertz makes a really good run, as you mentioned, on that inside left. Later in the game, players would refuse that pass to Havertz, but he's down the left. He picks out a great pass for Odegaard. And all players are human beings and they will make mistakes, but we expect sort of better from Martin Odegaard in that situation. To find the net there, and Mc Martinez would not have been a factor if Odegaard had been able to steer that inside the post.
Yep.
David Raya, and then we have a couple of breakaways. David Raya, a save from Lucas Digne. So we're a little bit playing helter-skelter a little bit. Second half, 61 minutes. Yeah, Saka's goal offside. Do we want more from Saka in that situation to bend his run to be onside, because he's clean through. He's got a lot of field there to be able to go around Mc Martinez.
Part of me says yes, and part of me says, did we pass it late, right? So we should know he's going to make that run, and we don't. The person with the ball doesn't see it. So I think because for me, I will say, based on the way that we play, a lot of times we don't even make that pass until it's too late and the player's already made the run.
Yep.
In most cases, so.
Is that part of as well, having that lethal striker to go alongside?
No, that's part of Arteta not coaching these guys that we're going to make these types of runs, because we don't make those passes. We don't even look up for them sometimes, because it's hard to make that pass if you don't look up and see what's going on in front of you. So I'm going to say more. It seems to me more. It's just the way we play. We play for the let's walk this ball in situation, as opposed to, let's make our own luck here. Sometimes put the ball in a good spot or with a guy on the run, and let them handle it. We don't do it enough, I think.
Did it seem like Villa played pretty high line, not as high as Tottenham, but they play pretty high line. We
didn't take advantage of it, right? Because how we just stand there. So wherever the defense goes, we go, and we just stand there. We never make a run. So nobody makes a run enough to put them in a situation where, guess what? Eventually they're going to have to maybe not have such a high line and open up their defense a little bit, so we can get in between the lines a little bit more. Because you could see it, they had 3 lines of defense there against us, and we're just standing there. Nobody's moving. It's easy to defend for me. We make it easy.
This seemed like a new position for Bukayo Saka to be in. Playing on the shoulder of the last defender, looking for that through ball. Whenever we think about Bukayo Saka, he's receiving the ball and this happened a lot in this game as well, with the fullback right behind them, and he's got a cut infield. But in this situation, he found himself through on goal. If he was just able to hold his run, we would have had that goal there yesterday. He's a lot better today, Stefan. So there we go. Mr. Bungle, hope you're doing well.
Yep. Is he not doing well? What's going on?
I think they're asking about Bungle maybe. He's a lot better today, Stefan. I had a good giggle with him. I told him all the YouTube clan were all sending get well wishes.
Oh, definitely.
He said even that donut eating Sam Greenwood.
Well, Yeah,
Yeah, Mr. Bungle. Hope let us know if he's
Mhm.
doing okay.
Definitely. We
Good.
send our well wishes to you.
Definitely.
Speedy recovery.
We do enjoy when he stops in with us. And 62 minutes. Douglas Luiz yellow card on Saka. I kind of got a little bit annoyed with this one because we hadn't scored. We're 62 minutes in, Gary. Douglas Luiz again fouls Saka, and it does seem to be a rotational fouling on Bukayo Saka. From a lot of teams are employing this now, but Douglas Luiz also kicks the ball away, and only Arsenal will get 2 yellow cards in the space of 4 seconds. That's where I'm going with this one. You know what I mean? You commit 2 offenses. Why can't you get 2 yellow cards? Is it only going to be? Are we the only one that's going to be in Mr. Tom's question as a pub trivia book about what happened? There's only one player that's ever been sent off for 2 fouls within 5 seconds of each other. You know, 69 minutes. Trossard comes on. Martinelli off. I thought Martinelli was not as effective toward that point in the game, so I felt good about the substitution there.
Yeah, we kind of like waste all his attacking against the back line because we didn't get a goal from it. So eventually he does. I mean, in this particular game, he probably did wear down. So that's what you need to make. But I think once again, I think that sub was done too late. I think we needed to, because eventually, the later you put that sub in, right, the closer to the end of the game you get, and then the drawn out restarts of the game happen and all that kind of stuff, and what you think is 20 minutes really is only about 10 minutes of time that you actually have the ball.
Yeah, let's look at the subs bench, Gary, and maybe that's an issue with injuries. We've got Ramsdale as a goalkeeper on the bench. Cedric, there's a player that really should be Tomiyasu or Timber, but due to injuries, he's got a shirt. Kivior, he's worthy of coming on. Walters could be a player that could go to the PSV game in the midweek. A good young academy player. A lot like that kid at Lewis at Man City. He could come through for us. Jorginho, a player that I would really want to maybe start the game with. El Neni, and then Nelson comes on, Trossard, and then Kedia. So I guess injuries are making our bench look a little weaker than we would want them to be. Thomas Partey, Tomiyasu, Timber. Anyone else injured that I can think of? That's about it. But those are 3 worthy players. Defensive, yeah. So 75 minutes. Declan Rice is using his energy up defensively in that right corner, conceding a throw-in, conceding a corner, which is good for Aston Villa because they're able to get some territorial position on us. 76 minutes, Cash shot wide. And then Rice gets a yellow card, probably just through frustration, trying to chase the game a little bit, getting tired. And maybe in the 76-minute, Gary, the effects of midweek is catching up to both teams. I had hoped the emotional win over Man City would take more out of Villa than the winning in the last second took out of Arsenal.
Oh yeah, that I would agree with that if you don't give them a goal in the first 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, if the game is still 0-0 at that point, maybe the game does the previous game does wear them down. But now they have something to fight for. Now you've given them something. Look, you've actually kind of boosted their energy a little bit, so they have something. Look, they weren't maybe expecting to get that goal right away, and you gave it to them so early that they had enough to just hold on, and that's why the subs were made. I mean, you look at what their subs came in to do. What? Hold on to what they had, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So our subs came on in response to that, as opposed to us going, look, we need to change this up. It hasn't worked now for 50 minutes. boom, let's get somebody out there. So
Yeah.
they managed the game much better than we did.
Definitely. And I think they're in that mode where they do get that goal and maintain, because they haven't once they go ahead, they have not lost leads. Hawkwind said Mr. Bungle's a diamond bloke, so hope that he's recuperating and recovering well. Doesn't have to spend Christmas in hospital.
Yeah.
Mr. Bungle, we send our best wishes to you. Is there Popeye's chicken in England? Interesting. Okay, Eddie and Kedia comes on 81 minutes. Then Gabriel Jesus has expended a lot of energy. Eddie's coming on, and you're kind of hoping that we can do it one more time. Go to the well one more time. 10 or 15 minutes to go in the game. Then we have the bundle goal, handball in 90 minutes. Jesus Nelson comes on for Zinchenko, 93 minutes. And so the game kind of peters out at that point. We got the elbow on Eddie and Kedia. It's just one of those we have to take the L and move on from, The disappointment, I'm comparing this one to Newcastle. The disappointing thing is that we created a lot of good chances and we didn't take any of them. So I kind of got Tony's words ringing in my ears right now, You know what Tony's going to say. We created all those chances. We didn't take any one of them, Stan.
Yeah. I mean, that's basically this day. And I mean, you got to give credit to Aston Villa. They've just come off the back of beating City convincingly as well. And now they've taken to task the team that's in top of the league as well, which was us. You just have to. Sometimes you just have to like take your medicine.
Yep. Thank you. No. Hey, the problem is we
should have been able to do enough where the bundled goal and the referee's decisions doesn't affect the game.
Yeah.
We should have done enough so that those things don't change anything.
100%.
And also, we shouldn't be surprised either at results like this, because it's quite obvious to the eye test that we don't look the same as we did last season. The flowing way that we played last season, where it wasn't any team that we could score against. We look a lot conservative this season, and maybe we're more technically secure at the back, and it's maybe taking something away going forward. I don't know. It's basically the same person that we've upgraded in midfield, Declan Rice.
Yeah,
and it just doesn't seem as sexy as it did last season. Doesn't seem as easy on the eye. When last season when we went behind, I wasn't really worried because I knew that we'd be able to find our way out of it somehow. This season, not so much.
Yeah, definitely, and. We have the players there. I think Mikel Arteta has removed some of he's worried about the risk, He's removed some of the risk from the game. But our next away game will be at Anfield in the league. And I hope lessons have been learned. We certainly cannot go to Liverpool with a single pivot, in my opinion. Or a left back that's Zinchenko. Because we won't concede one goal, we'll concede two, for sure. So I hope lessons are going to be learned about this game, despite the fact that we didn't score goals. I'm generally not concerned about us scoring goals. We will score goals. It's about conceding against the top teams that we have to limit. I did ask for parity in the league, and Gary, it looks like there's a lot more parity out there. Looks like any team can beat any team on a stay now.
Yep.
And we're gonna see. We're gonna see a League One in the 80s, high 80s. Hopefully, I'd like Arsenal to get 90 points just for credibility, just for chest, and to go and win the league on 90 points. And look, we are going to have 3 or 4 or 5 defeats this season is going to happen, and this is the second one. This one makes the next two games much more important. We talked about this on Thursday night. How many points do we want from these three games? Well, we can only get 6 from 6 now, so the next one being Brighton. We need to sort of exact some revenge on Brighton for Easter Sunday when they humbled us. I think Brighton has struggled a little bit. They're not the Brighton that you would think that they are now, but they're still a decent team. What are your thoughts on Brighton, Gary?
Yeah, it's just another one of those redemption games that we've had. The way last time we played them, we didn't look so good. So they're not as good as they were last season, or consistent as they were last season, but they will punish you if you don't do what you need to do on your side. So yeah, once again, it's going to come down to the same things, not making any mistakes on defense and finishing our dinner essentially. So yeah, that's what we got to do.
And there's not too many times where we look back and we can't. I don't remember the last game, but we look back and we didn't have the opportunities to score.
Yes,
and
the Newcastle is the game where we didn't have opportunities to score.
Right.
So this is not like the Newcastle game, because Newcastle, we didn't have opportunities to score there, and that was on us why we didn't. We had to do a lot better. So
that is the big difference. We didn't create very much at Newcastle. We didn't play well, and we complain rightly so about a goal that was awarded, but that would have only given us 1 point, Gary. You know what I mean? So, Hendon Gunnar, thanks for joining us. Dinner beckons. Dinner's going on the table. Got to get it while it's hot. Hendon Gunnar said Arsenal will get 1 point in the next two matches. I think we beat Brighton. Let's take that one. We shouldn't look too far ahead, Gary. What do you think, Brighton? We can beat Brighton.
We need. You know what? Once again, this is those big tests that we get. We get 6 points in our next two matches. We sit top of the league.
Yep.
So that should be the goal.
Yep.
The goal should be sitting top of the league, which means we got to win our next two matches. That's it. And we can win our next two matches. We have beaten these teams. So why not? All right.
Yeah.
We've beaten these teams in the last season. We just didn't do it when we needed to. Once again, we're at a situation where we need to. This is no different than when we came into the games last season, where I said to you, we need to have a winning streak going into this match. Well, we need to have at least a 2-game winning streak going into Christmas Eve, and we'll be right where we want to be, and we'll show whether or not we've learned and improved from where we are. So 6 points is what we need to get out of these 6. We can get 6. It's not going to be easy. It never is, right? So
on next Sunday, Gary, Arsenal play 2-3 hours before Liverpool play. We play Brighton in 9 a.m. slot or 2 p.m. slot in England. So 3 points will be vital to go above them in the league again and apply some pressure to them for the big game where they're going to host Man United at Anfield. And you never know what you're going to get from Man United these days. They could turn up and give Liverpool a tough game, or they could, go to another 7-0. Was it 7-0 last season in the same result? I think it was. You know what I mean? And Bruno Fernandes walking around like he's a zombie. But nevertheless, we've got to beat Brighton next week, put Liverpool under pressure, and then we face them at Anfield, hopefully with a double pivot. You're going to be tired of me hearing me say double pivot, Gary, and a left back of consequence.
Yeah.
I think we're struggling a little bit in fullbacks. I don't know if we're going to do something in January in terms of fullbacks, because Tomiyasu we probably won't see Tomiyasu in all of January. We won't see him back till February probably. So I don't know if the club's going to address that, knowing Tomiyasu and Timber will come back double T.
Yep. We need to do something. We can't just stay pat and go, oh, it's all right. We'll just do. We have to make. I believe we have to make at the least one change. I would like two, of course, but
What's
we can't pick. I don't care where we make. We have to make a change.
Yeah.
We can't just
What?
stay pat with what we've got. We have to, for sure make a change for me, either
Are
with a
you?
midfielder or even defender or something like that.
We have Kivior. We have Kivior and Walters ahead of Cedric, in my opinion.
Yeah, until they're playing, until they're on the pitch playing, it means nothing, right?
Yeah.
Like if they're not playing, then it's as good as what we have with Cedric. It's somebody that doesn't play and can't contribute. So having him on the bench, it means nothing if they're not going to have the opportunity to play.
There we go.
So Arteta has to, use the men he's got.
Stefan says he fears for United at Anfield, and Bruno is suspended. Yeah. It is a tough place to go, and we were so close last year to getting away with a win at Anfield. Yeah. We need to win next week against Brighton. Liverpool, they will drop points as well. I'm a little worried about Liverpool. I feel like they are very much dependent on their goalkeeper and Salah, but those are two very good players to be, your season. If your season depended on two players, you would pick Alisson and you would pick Salah, right, Gary? If you're gonna ride or die with two players, you definitely remember when we were kids, you'd pick sides and all your friends were lined up, and I'll take Alisson, and then someone else takes someone else, and I'll take Salah. So that'd be the two first players that you would pick,
No, for sure. Yeah, we have to make it such that, one, we have to quiet Salah, and we have to pepper that goal. And the more we put pressure on the back line, on the back line and the goalkeeper, we've seen that Alisson is just as human as every other goalkeeper.
Yeah.
But if we don't do anything, we don't threaten his goal we don't put shots on target, he'll have an easy day, and he'll make that one or two saves that they need. But if he has to make 5 and 6 said saves, I think we'll get some past him. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I agree.
It's on us to put pressure on them, and that's on us to go into a match and basically hit them fast, right? We need to go in there fast. We can't be waiting for them to stake their claim on the game.
Is number 17 Cedric? I think BX is talking about. Can't wait till number 17 is free again. Is that his number?
17?
Cedric 17.
That is 17 when he's free again. I don't know what that means.
Like if he gets onto the field, if we have a Ben White injury, or God forbid, a Zinchenko or a Ben White injury, we're not far away from Cedric. We're a Kivior and maybe an untried Walters at the top level. Amazed Ten Hag still got the job, to be honest. United are shambles. They showed up against Chelsea. They played really well against Chelsea.
Yeah.
Yesterday got took apart by Bournemouth. And Bournemouth are playing well.
Yeah.
So I think this is a traditional rivalry, Man United Liverpool. Man United will remember that 7-0 defeat, so they really should step up and give Liverpool a good game. Much like Aston Villa, Unai Emery and Mc Ginn said that they remembered the game last year where we beat them. We beat Villa 4-2 in injury time. Pat said Mbappe would be awesome, but I can't see him fitting into Arteta's mold, and he's too much of a focal point for a club that wants to have a team of equals. Yeah, I don't think we'll be shopping in Mbappe's neighborhood. Liverpool always play better against the more decent sides, Gary.
No, I mean, I've seen a lot. Maybe not Mbappe, but I've seen on. We keep seeing these rumors about Osimhen. So, we need something.
BX said he needs Cedric's shirt freed up. That's what he means for another player of better ability.
Well, there's number 17. There's number 25, Emery El Neni.
Hey, El Neni.
If you think Cedric and Elneny are filling up a shirt that could be filled up with a better player, then I think that's the problem. We can't hold on. Sentiment has got to be start at some point. We don't have. Well, we're going to save this spot just for somebody who's done a good job for us, but can't contribute when we need it. You know what I mean? So he's older. I get why we have him on the field, but at some point, not only do that's why we need one to kind of push him out as opposed to replace. Right? We need a player that comes in and then they're off the team because of it.
I would. We'll talk about Walters in a second, but that would be a candidate for me as well. Rule Walters to come in and do that. I don't think he's done anything bad in the Arsenal shirt when on the summer tour. Yeah. United shouldn't be humbled at home to Bournemouth. United have a good game and then they have a bad game, and as long as that show keeps going, I'm okay with it. You know what I mean? Like if they ever start figuring it out, then it'll be a problem. Cedric has been here longer than anyone. LOL. Yeah. So yeah, listen, we're 3 games to the halfway point. In order to get 90 points, you can only drop around 24 points total. We're at the 12 points dropped. So it's important to get a couple of wins, get to halfway here. Brighton being one of them, and then go to Liverpool and see what happens.
No, we need to go there and get the win. That's what we need to do, not see what happens.
Yeah.
This is the only way you'll win in the league is if you are able to beat. Now you're gonna have to beat. Villa at home, right?
Yep.
You have to beat Liverpool.
Liverpool home and away. Yeah.
You're gonna have to. You're gonna have to get points off of City at home. You're gonna have to get points off Newcastle at home. Those are the only way I see this working. We can't be losing twice to the same team in a season. Just can't happen if we're trying to win a league. We need to get points on most teams. So.
Yeah. The African nation. You mentioned Elneny, which reminded me about the African nations is coming up. Liverpool are going to be having Salah leave as well for that competition, so they're going to miss him for a couple of games in January as well. So Gary, before we meet Liverpool, we're going to meet Liverpool in the FA Cup 3rd round, and let's talk about it quickly. Last season we had this situation with City. You remember that one famously. We're now going to meet Liverpool in the FA Cup. It's just funny how these narratives come around, and it's something that we cannot bin off. We can't bin off this FA Cup. It'll be the last game before the winter break, so I think Liverpool and Arsenal will be invested in winning that game as well.
Yep.
So we have 4 games in the league before the break comes. It's Brighton at home, as we mentioned, Liverpool away at Anfield, West Ham at home. We usually beat West Ham at the Emirates, and we have Fulham away from home, and Fulham have been playing well recently, so that'll be a tricky game in of itself. Newcastle looked tired and completely uninterested. I worry about.
They got hit in the mouth today. Today, and they did not respond at all. And you thought they would have. They're in this up and down type of situation, and I think if you I don't know, I haven't looked at it, but I think if you kind of just look at how they've
they won some, they lose some.
They kind of. Yeah, they're not looking. They're not consistent.
Generally,
sure.
Their away form is patchy, Gary. But generally, at home, they've done quite well. If you look back,
which is sometimes a sign of a young team. A young team is just not consistent enough to get the job done. So,
as Pat said, playing 2 games a week isn't for everybody, and maybe their squad is not built for Europe. Maybe Brighton are experiencing a little bit of that as well, Gary, because they're in the Europa League, and we're facing them next Sunday as well.
Yeah.
Stefan said a professional should never be uninterested. Newcastle apparently took a decent support there.
Yep. Yeah, well, they're kind of. It seems like they're kind of heavily dependent on certain players, which means their depth isn't right, and that's where you don't
That
want to be.
team,
Yeah,
that team, Gary. They kind of like once their tails get up and they get that first goal, they kind of go for you a little bit then
yeah,
and try to get that second goal. So
yeah,
always in your best interest to be sound defensively
yep.
and not let them get that first goal. All right, so that's the league. We'll talk about Brighton next week and Man United at Liverpool 7 days from now from the Sunday show. But let's talk about PSV briefly before we get out of here. I think we'd all be generally happy if we could pick a team that doesn't involve much of our first team. Like there's certain players that should not be getting a ticket on the plane, like Saka, Rice, Saliba. You could go through all of that. So
Yep.
you want to pick? Let's pick a hodgepodge team. Not that some of these players will need. One player needs a game, so maybe he's going to be in the shop window for January, and that'll be the goalkeeper.
Yep.
Do you think that's going to happen with Ramsdale?
It should. There's no reason to play Raya for sure. I mean, he's going to probably make the trip because we need to have a decent goalkeeper behind Ramsdale, but he probably should make. I mean, Raya will make the trip, but Ramsdale should be the one definitely starting. So that's an easy one.
That's an easy one. Our two defenders, Gabriel Magalhaes and Saliba. Do you think? I think one of them is probably going to play.
Yeah, we don't have the depth.
I think Saliba. I saw as a caption. Saliba's played every minute of the Premier League.
Yeah,
So maybe he should get a rest.
Yep. I mean, this is we did the same thing last season to Magalhaes, right? He played every game. He started every game. So like Arteta, or should I say Arsenal still has an issue with the depth. Like they don't have, a player that can back up both their center backs.
It's a chance to rest Saka, Saliba, Odegaard, and Jesus. So we're definitely leaving those out of this lineup, Pat.
Yeah.
So Gabriel Magalhaes alongside Kivior.
Yeah, Saka can't make the trip because Arteta cannot control himself. You can't make the trip because Arteta, at the first glance of like trouble,
he should go hiding. He should go hiding in the corridors.
Yeah,
in the corridors of the.
Like Arteta will play him because he has to play him. Like not.
Bakaya, come on.
So it's like no. I mean, let the man stay home and rest and get ready for Brighton. So
Gabriel and Kivior. Gabriel Magalhaes and Kivior.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Okay. Yeah. Let's give Rule Walters right back. Yep. Maybe there's a player called Sousa, I think, left back.
Yeah, I think when you at some point, it's a weird thing. With two academy players out there.
Cedric's going to play. Can Cedric play?
That's the problem. I think he is on the roster for Champions League. I think that's to me that this is just poor.
Cedric.
Terrible.
All right, let's pencil Cedric in.
I don't know. No, I am not. No. It might happen. It's probably the only thing that could happen to make any sense of this. But no, don't pencil it in. Erase it and leave it blank.
Okay. A player who was mentioned, an Egyptian player for Arsenal. He's perfect for this kind of game, right? FA Cup games, dead rubber games. Mohamed El Neni, number 6. Okay.
Has he started in a match for us this season?
He's come on in a couple of substitutes.
He hasn't started, right?
No.
He hasn't started a match for us.
He may have started against Brentford or something like that, but I'm not sure. I don't think so. Would you play Jorginho?
He played for what? A minute? Or like 10 minutes in the last match?
Yeah. I don't think he got on against Villa.
Oh, he didn't? So yeah, I would play him. I'd play him because
needs some.
Yeah, he has. He's played. Let's see. Nelly has not started a match for us this season, so this is only domestic. Let's see.
How about Trossard? Will we put him in there?
He came on late. Yeah.
Trossard. Okay, came on 60. 9th minute.
Yeah, no, I think Trossard should. Well, he should at least travel, whether he starts or comes off at halftime. Pick one of the two. You know what I mean? So
Eddie and Kedia, give him a
Yep.
game.
Yep.
Champions League. Nelson.
Yep.
Okay. Left or
Now-
right? Right.
Who else we got?
We got
Trossard.
one winger maybe to go.
If Trossard is playing, you think he's going to play in the 8th? Do you think Trossard?
Yeah. I don't think we have Vieira. He's injured,
Wow.
you know.
Wow. I mean, wow. Yeah, we are really not looking good. Like
You
like
know that
yeah.
kid, Sago, I'm not looking at the Champions League roster now, but he might not be eligible for this one either.
I think
Wanyeri?
we've had 3. Yeah, I would bring him. I would like to see
Wanyeri?
him play.
Okay. And Wanyeri.
I don't know if he would. Here's the thing. I don't think he will start. He needs to go and get minutes. That's the thing. I think that Arteta needs to do. Needs to do is let these players come and actually give them minutes. It doesn't matter what the score is, right?
Yeah.
It matters absolutely
It
not.
just matters not.
We've won our group, so let them go out there and play.
There's Pat.
Pat Tate's got. He's got.
Thanks for the lineup, Pat.
He's got Tomiyasu, but I thought Tomiyasu was not coming back.
Tomiyasu is injured. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be back for at least 4 to 6 weeks. So
it would be nice if Tomiyasu was there because then you could rest Gabriel and Saliba. But I think you're going to have to play one of those two center backs. We're still pretty decent. We have a good goalkeeper. Even if Cedric's on the field, we have an academy product in Walters. But you've got Kivior, Tomiyasu, White, Gabriel, Jorginho, Trossard, Havertz, Reece Nelson, and Kedia and Martinelli. Give a few youngsters 20 minutes toward the end. Not a bad shout with Martinelli. I know you probably don't want to do that, Gary, but maybe that could help him as well. You know,
we always say that, and then we don't. He doesn't get to play in a style that gives him the opportunity sometimes, and then you're just getting him running around and not getting anything out of the game. So, if Martinelli, if your thought is you put Martinelli so that he can get some rut out, right?
Some rhythm.
So then anybody else needs that because we didn't. You just said that White didn't look so good, so then that would mean White should get some time.
Yeah, but White always looks tired, doesn't he?
So that if he always looks tired, then you never know whether he's hurt, right? That's the thing. So then you just play him, right? And then if he needs, and as you said, he was coming back from an injury, so maybe he does need the minutes. So I mean, I like Pat Tate's lineup. I could do with that. I like that, Havertz, Reece Nelson, and Kedia, Martinelli, Trossard, all of them playing with Jorginho. I could see that work. That'd be nice to see because I think that could be a scenario where we could see that, like I don't know, would we see that in FA Cup or in a game where we wanted to rest some of our players in the Premier League? At least they're playing with Trossard, Havertz, and Martinelli are playing with Reece Nelson and Kedia now. And Jorginho, who 4 out of those 6 all start for Arsenal.
Martinelli, Nelson, and Kedia.
Yeah, they all start for Arsenal. So it's not like, well, no, none of these players. They're not playing with players. They're not playing with the starters. No, you're playing with 4 of them. So, and if they're playing, so I think if they're playing in their positions, then we should be able to.
Yeah, when you look at it, you got Kedia, Nelson, Jorginho, Trossard, and those play regularly anyway. Elneny hasn't played a lot, but Elneny never lets us down when he plays. Kivior needs some minutes, I believe, and then Walters, and if it's Cedric, Ramsdale, definitely Ramsdale has deserved a Champions League game. Even it's not going to be one in the bright lights, but it's still a Champions League game.
If he's not number 1 goalkeeper, then he doesn't get those games.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of fans just need to that's where I think Arteta needs to just quiet all the noise. my number one goalkeeper is the one who starts most of my games. He may not name the name, but we see it. So then there's no questioning what's going on. So
Yeah.
um, yes, no. I mean, like I said, we need players to get out there and get some minutes in. It would be nice to give those academy kids some substantial minutes out there, not like minutes after the 75, 80th minute of the match. I think that's it's a waste as well. Give them some decent minutes so they get a good sweat out there and get into some of the plays. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
definitely. All right, you got anything else, Gary? We'll get out of here.
this is this kind of conversation is this we have to say we've been having the same ones all season. All right. Please don't depend on VAR. Please don't depend on the officials to make the right call.
Yeah.
Finish your dinner.
Yeah.
Play sound on defense. I mean, these are all the same things we come back to on pretty much every game. And there's typically with the least of when that number of issues is below 3, we're doing all right. But when we have all 4 in the same match and we're depending on an official and VAR to help us out, then that's not going to work. It's not a good plan.
No. And, I needed Arteta to understand the pitfalls of last season. And I don't think we're good enough to go to major clubs away from home and have a single pivot. Declan Rice trying to do everything in midfield. Havertz played well and Odegaard played well, but it just doesn't give us the stability and comfort and control that I'm looking for. And yes, you're losing a player maybe going forward. You don't have a Havertz jumping into the box. You have Odegaard, Saka, Martinelli, and Jesus. I would have preferred to win 1-0 than lose 1-0, and that may have been the difference for me in this game. But again, this one's on the players. The chances were there to be taken, and they didn't take them. I'm sure there'll be a lot of irritation from the players because they didn't finish their dinner. That we'll see it most likely against Brighton when we're talking next Sunday. This is another thing. AFC always. Why was our captain moving away from 50-50 ball? Literally stepped away and let the opponent shoot. Yeah, what's that all about? If you're looking at Martin Odegaard, maybe it's not physicality that you're thinking about when it comes to, a central attacking midfielder.
Yeah, I as much as I want to say, like, it's a lot of the responsibilities that Arteta is giving Odegaard, and that's why he's not playing as well. He did have really 2 good opportunities to score this weekend, so that's on him.
Yep.
That's on him.
The first one, I thought he took a step inside like Beth Mead did today for the goal. But when you do that, you're opening the angle up and you need to pick a corner. I think he pretty much, Martinez is a good keeper.
It was. I mean, he didn't have to move much. When you don't make the goalkeeper move, it makes it easy for them to stop it. I mean, if he takes it first time, he picks the far corner, he probably scores. If he picks the near post, he might even score as well, because by the time he sees the ball, it's already going into the goal. He'll get down too late. So I think for me, when he spends too much time on the ball, we don't get the right. You see, I've seen a lot of his goals lately, and none of them have been, let me take an extra touch and move the ball and shoot, a different, from away from where the pass, give them an opportunity to defend. So I say just take the first shot, take the first touch, as opposed to get an extra touch to move the ball and help them out. So I believe he's good at that.
I think it's an anomaly. We're not going to see this every game, and that's what I'm most disappointed about. We lost at Newcastle, but we didn't, as I said, we didn't play well enough to even get anything out of Newcastle. Today we played really well, and the disappointing part, or yesterday we played well. Disappointing part is that we didn't end that streak that Villa were on. because we've been good at doing that, you know. But listen, we'll leave it there, Gary. We shall see you tomorrow on your show. You'll be talking about this and games moving forward. Hey, we move. We'll be back on Thursday night, and we'll be back next Sunday to discuss, hopefully, a Man United win at Anfield and an Arsenal defeat of Brighton at the Emirates. And as the AFC always says, December remaining fixtures is Brighton at home, Liverpool away, West Ham home, Fulham away. And we have to pick up pretty decent points from all of that because games come thick and fast in this holiday period, and that's a good opportunity to catch up and separate from other teams as well. Fulham away will not be easy as well, Stefan. So, Stan, thanks for joining. I know you're in the background listening somewhere. And Gary, thanks for joining as well.
Thank you for having me on. Everybody in the chat, thanks for joining us. We'll do this again.
Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you on the next one. Take care.